Hello everyone! Don't worry, I've not given up on this channel. I admittedly did take a break from doing Quest for Glory 3, which was the next game I was playing. I have way too many hobbies, and so I realized that I need to get back to do some of those, because some of those were starting to fall behind. So I did put the Quest for Glory 3 on hold for a little while, but I did have a long weekend this weekend, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get back to Quest for Glory 3. So I started playing it once again, and I eventually made it to the, I'm going to maybe mispronounce this, I pronounce it the Simbani village, and eventually the leopard person is caught and put in that magical cage. Then the game gives you the obvious clue that they need to undo the magic that the leopard person has on themselves in order to get them to talk. So I made my way back to the city of Tarna, the Liontar city, I guess you could say. And I learned that there's things that I need to get in order for the dispel potion to be made, because the guy who was there, the space age guy, says, hey, you know, I don't have the components, here's the things you need to get me. And so I ran out, gathered those items, returned back, and gave him the stuff for the dispel potion. He says, hey, it's gonna take me a while, come back another day, bro. So I walked around, went outside, did some fighting, basically burned a couple days there, came back, and I got both of those dispel potions for free because I told him about the other story. I'm not gonna spoil it in case you haven't played it yet. So eager, now that I have the dispel potion, I actually made my way back to the Simbani village. And I used the dispel potion on the leopard person, and they're changed into a very beautiful woman. Now this sets up the next thing. So I'm talking to, and I'm gonna mispronounce this probably also, I pronounce it Laibon, L-A-I-B-O-N, but it's essentially the chief of the Simbani village. And I learned that there's gonna be a contest. And in order for me to be a part of this contest, I need to get a horn from this creature. Well, I already had like 10 of these horns due to random encounters of just walking out in the plains. I had countered these creatures that come at me, and when I went to search the body, it said it broke off a horn. I thought that these horns would basically be sold or something like that for some kind of money. I had no idea, because I've not played Quest for Glory 3 in probably over 20 years. I had no idea that it was actually for this ritual. So I'm able to essentially give him the horn, and basically I get entered in the competition between me and his son. First time around, I won 2 of the 3 things. He won the very first, get the ring thing. And then I won the next 2 after that, because I realized, oh, you don't want to just actually straight up compete, you want to find the way around it, be the smarter one, because they even say those who use their brains to get through this faster. And so by the time we won, he had won, I think I won the spear throwing contest, but then he won the bridge contest, and he ended up being the winner of the whole competition as a whole. And I thought, I think I'm supposed to do something with her, like, there was something about I have to win her over or something like that. So I restored, basically won the 3 competitions, and I went to, because of how fast the moving target is, for the spear throwing, I tried to basically go in and slow it down, but it locks it. It locks it at a certain speed and you can't move it. So what I did is I decreased the difficulty, thinking, okay, this will compensate for that. So I was still able to throw the spears, and somehow I won, even though I don't think I landed any. But I did land some when the thing was still, so I just didn't land any when it was moving. I can't remember if the sun did. And then so we went to the bridge, and with the skill thing lowered, I didn't even have to do any moves. Like, it just does it automatically. And it defeats the sun, 3 out of 3. And I was like, well, that was much easier, which is kind of nice. I didn't mind, like, having to figure out, because when they move left to right, like when they jump up, it's very easy just to say, hey, hit down to maintain your balance. But when they're shifting left and right on that board, it's very difficult to tell what they're actually doing, because they're just making a little quick movement. And you're like, wait, did he shift left and I'm supposed to shift right to balance, or did he shift right and I'm supposed to shift left? So that portion of the game is very difficult to see exactly what they're doing when the movements are kind of fast. So by reducing the skill to basically nothing and having it do it for me automatically, it's the cheesy way to win, but I didn't mind. So I ended up being the grand winner of it all. And so I was like, okay, great. So now, after that, I found out that there is basically a price for the bride. So not only I've just won the competition, now I'm considered one of the warriors, but in order to get the bride, who is the leopard person who's now this beautiful woman, there's a price. And it's one nice spear, one nice robe, and 5 zebra skins. I already had all of those, coincidentally. When I was walking through the first town of Tarna, I went into every vendor, and whatever they sold, I bought at least one or more of, because when I imported from Quest for Glory 2 to Quest for Glory 3, once I found the money changer, I had so much money that it was not a problem just to buy a bunch of stuff. I bought honey. I didn't know if I needed honey. Spoiler alert, you do later. But I just bought all this stuff from all these vendors just because they were selling them. Like, the only thing I couldn't figure out is how to buy the amulet from the amulet vendor, because you talk to him and there's just no way to apparently buy an amulet from him. I even bought fish from the fish dude, even though one of the other vendors says, hey, I don't even think the fish dude eats his own fish. Just keep that in mind. So I just bought all this stuff, and so I had all these items already, and I was like, oh, perfect. So I tried to hand it to him, and he said, hey, give me the gifts later. Don't even think about it. Give me the gifts later. Whatever. So I think, oh, okay, because just won the contest, probably the game needs for like a day to pass. So I basically said, okay, well, I left the Simbani village, went outside, did some hunting, burned some more time, because that's the quickest way. You just walk around the map, and like day and night pass by very quickly. And so I did that, came back the next day, and the guard wouldn't let me in. So the guard's like, this is not a good time. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went out, just waited until it got a little bit darker, went back in. So I thought maybe, because Uhura, you can only see her at night in her hut from what I've seen so far. So I thought maybe that's the same thing with the chief. You can only see him at certain times. So I basically went back out, kind of waited until it was like noon, went back, guard would not let me in, went out, waited until it was dark, went back, guard wouldn't let me in. So I was like, okay, that's weird. So maybe now there's another trigger. So I head out over to the jungle, fight a bunch of stuff in the jungle. I'd already done the big giant tree thing in order to basically get the stuff that I needed to make the dispel potion. So other than that, there's no way to cross the waterfall in the jungle yet. I'm sure there's a way, because they talk about the lost city beyond the waterfall or whatever. So there's no way to go any further, and you just walk around forever in the jungle. I've already done the vine thing over there and stuff like that. So I make my way back, and I'm like, okay, still won't see me. So I make my way back, all the way back to Tarna. And at Tarna, I walk around, I meet the thief. I meet him for a few times. However, like after I think it's after the second or third time I met him, it wasn't consecutive. Like, I've gone out and I'd spent too long out hunting, so it wasn't like a consecutive amount of times that I actually met him. So I don't know if he just got fed up with me at some point. But I met him a few times, and like the first time he didn't really tell me much. He just said, hey, I heard a rumor between Rakesh and the leader, whose name I'm totally slipping my mind. And then the second time I came back and gave him food and stuff like that, he was like, hey, you know, I've heard that there's like these weird things happening in the jungle. And then I think on the third time he said the same thing about the jungle. So I was like, okay. And I kept coming back to see if he would appear, and he doesn't appear again after that. So I was like, okay, so he's just there to tell me stuff about the jungle, apparently. And then so I wandered around Tarna thinking there's got to be something else to trigger it. Like, I went back to Simbani thinking maybe this thief that spoke to me about the jungle, he was basically going to be what triggers the guard to let me in. Nope. Guard does not let me in. So I end up going back to Tarna, walking around, and I was like, you know what? I've been everywhere. I can't get into the middle part of the temple unless I'm summoned, so they won't let me in. So I go to the very top of the temple, and I forgot they were waiting for me to get a gem, which I did get in the tall tree. And so I was like, okay, cool. So they do this whole thing where you pick these different symbols, and you have the judgment thing, and I am found to be like, you know, this perfectly zen person. It gives me a warning about my future to come, and I was like, okay. So that had to have been the trigger. Now I make my way back to Simbani, and wouldn't you know it, guard doesn't let me in. So it's not a good time. So I was like, okay, clearly I've maxed out a bunch of stats. I've been, you know, in the game. I've probably I was like on day like 36 or 38 by this point, because I've been wandering around so much. So I thought, all right, Oh, and I should say I talked to Uhura. So with the whole thing about her being the leopard woman being the wife, I did talk to Uhura, and she gives you like these suggestions, like she's not going to be your friend when you first come out. You should do a couple of things, and like one of the things she talks about is wooing her and stuff like that. And so I'd gone to, since the guard wouldn't let me in, I went back to the thing and I tried to give the woman a couple of different things, and it was like, he walks over there and says she's not interested. So I was like, okay, now I've done all this stuff. I've done the judgment now at the temple in Tarna. Make my way back. He doesn't let me in. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna suck if this is the case. Let me actually restore back to the event, win the thing again, and then immediately when I go in there, ask about the drum, which I did last time, and then immediately ask about the gifts and the price. And I did that. He says, oh, this is the price. And I tried to give him the stuff. Would not do it. He said, bring it back later. Same message I got with my normal save. And so I said, okay, let's do this. Let's restore back, put all the stuff that I can in the chest in the Simbani village that is in my hut. Make sure that that's not like what's doing this weird trigger that I have something already. So I do that, run the competition all over again, go back in there, try to talk to him. So, he says, here's the price. I was like, great, run out, go get the stuff out of the chest, run back, and the guard does not let me in. So I am at a loss. I've put probably like, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 hours already into this game, and I can't seem to get to the chief to give him the gifts or the price, the payment for the bride. So I am currently stuck. So if you can think of anything, I've looked online, I found a few threads that talk about the issues with the Laibon hut and how you have to do things in a certain sequential order. And I think I did it in a fairly sequential order. But everything I've tried, some of those suggestions where I put the stuff into the chest was stuff that I found online. I wasn't looking for hints or anything like that. I was just looking to see if something was bugged and seeing if like where I'd find these threads about issues with the Laibon hut. If it was like, oh, hey, you forgot to do this. I thought maybe there was something in there that I could find that I'd forgotten to do, but that was not the case as well. Nothing in there. Everything that they've talked about, I've already done. And so I am truly stuck. So if you are watching this channel, watching this video, and you don't see a Quest for Glory 3 video in the next week or so, that means I'm still stuck and that game has still where it's at. I may just pick up another game. Or not pick up another game, but just start playing a different game and set Quest for Glory 3 aside, which means I'm going to set Quest for Glory 4 and 5 aside, because what I want to do is just keep importing my characters from game to game. But if I can't finish Quest for Glory 3, I have no way to get to... I mean, I could just start Quest for Glory 4 as a new character, but that bothers me. If I have the option to basically import, like, why wouldn't I want to do that? So the Quest for Glory series may be put aside for a while until I can figure this out. And if it is something where I have to start this game over, this game is going to wait for a while, because there are a few things in this game that have already bugged me, aside from if this is indeed a bug of some kind. There's a couple of weird quirks in this game. It is overall a good game, but there are a few things that have made me scream at my monitor. Anyway, so if you have played Quest for Glory 3 and you've experienced the problem and you think you might know what it is, or if you have some suggestions of things that maybe I didn't talk about that I have done that maybe I haven't done, or if I have done, if you put something in the comments, I'll say, hey, yeah, I did actually do that, or hey, I didn't even think about that, whatever. I am looking to the community to see if they can help me get through this game for this part, not the whole game. I just want to get into this guy's hut so I can basically pay the price and give him the gifts for the bride. I just don't understand why this isn't just always an option where you can just go in and talk to him. I don't understand why they have a guard there. Like, I get they should have a guard there, like, you can't go in at night. or whatever. Similar to how they have the guards at the temple in Tarna, whatever. You can't go in the temple at night. That's the only reason the guards should be there, to stop you. Otherwise, you should just be able to go in there and talk to them. But apparently they scripted this in a really weird way, as far as I can tell. So once again, if you happen to know what I might have missed, or if you have a suggestion for me to try, other than starting a new game, please let me know in